first year, and then Jabari last year. You have Kendall coming off the bench as a six man. Is that fine just because he's able to kind of see the game and get starters levels minutes, even if it doesn't mean he's is that something he prefers too, just being able to see the game and get those minutes, even if it doesn't mean being in the starting five?
Well, again, Kendall, he's been a guy that's I think from start to finish this season to this point right now has been very, very consistent with what he's brought to the table for us in terms of his effort, preparation, and just really playing hard on both ends of the floor for us. And I think at the end of the day, whether you start the game, whether you come off the bench, I think the biggest thing a coach really wants to see is how you impact the game. And a lot of times, you have guys that come off the bench that play starter minutes for you. Rice was that guy last year, and he was a guy, and at winning time, he was in the game. You know what I mean, and stuff. So at the end of the day, I think obviously Kendall has earned the right to be in those type of moments and those situations for us right now, and he's a guy that we count on heavily to be ready to go, whether he starts the game or whether he comes off the bench. I don't think he really has a preference.
Eric Henry, please.
Good afternoon, RT. Just want to ask you, what's the biggest challenge in dealing with a group of guys 18 to 24, 18 to 25 years old, as far as not having that emotional swing, the emotional letdown of not being able to, win the game against Houston, how they don't carry that into TCU, and just also your early thoughts on TCU.
Well, again, I said to our guys the other day, though, I think, in life, you're never going to have any obstacles in front of you that you can't overcome, and I think as long as you live your life where you have tremendous faith and you try to live the right way and treat people the right way, and you just stay the course, you know what I mean? I mean, there's, I gave our guys a comparison of last year's team and this year's team, and I gave them comparisons of Big 12 stats and numbers and with our offense, with our defense. Obviously we had 10 teams in the league last year. We have 14 this year. And boy, it is borderline right across the board what we were last year. We're talking about rebounding right now. We were talking about rebounding the same time this year, this same time last year with last year's team. We're actually a plus this year as opposed to a minus with our rebounding team last year, if you can imagine that, right? So, again, I just say to our guys, it's really important that you stay locked in, stay dialed in, and, have strong faith and believe in what we're doing.
Thomas Jones, please.
Coach, good afternoon. A. Smith, Mitch, Dylan, Dessou, they've been real consistent. How do you get Tyrese Hunter going offensively, and what can you coaches do to kind of help get IT going offensively?
Well, I think Tyrese has been pretty consistent on offense, to be honest. I think, again, he's had his best explosive games when he's been really, really dialed in, defensively. I thought he, even though he didn't score a whole lot of points the last ball game, I thought he played one of his better games of the year against an elite level team, and I say that because of his engagement in the game. His communication in the game was at a high level. I mean, he was really locked into the game, and it's not always about points. That's kind of like, little dribblers, little big guys measure how well they play on how many points you have. And it's not about points. It's about winning. It's about doing your job at a high level. It's about being a great teammate. And I thought he checked the box on all those things in the last game and did it at a very high level. In terms of getting another player going, I think myself and coaches' jobs are to really instill confidence in guys and encourage guys to be the best version of themselves and trust their work that they put in and the preparation that they have for every practice, every film session, every game. And then you got to go out and just play. There's no pressure, in that regard. But I think you try to instill in confidence that you expect them to play at a high level. So, if we have you on the floor, then we have trust in you that you're going to do your job at a high level.
Noah Gross, please.
Hey, Coach. Right around the new year, you talked about January being the grind, and just kind of what this month entails. As we shift to February now, is there any sort of mentality change or something you talk about with the team? And do you kind of divide the year into sections at all with the group?
Yeah, we do. I mean, the season is a marathon. It's really not a sprint, you know, and you want to be playing your best basketball at the right time, you know, and you also have to be peaking and from a physical standpoint, also not out of gas as well. And, you know, that's where your strength coach comes in handy. That's where a great trainer comes in handy. And we have both of those at an elite level. And they do a great job with myself and our staff with really trying to manage, you know, going through what we've gone through in the month of January. You know, we talk about November being a year, you know, a time of the year where you have to establish an identity, December being the details. January, we just went through it, all of us. It's a grind. You start conference play and everybody knows what you do and how you do it. And you know, we're in the best, you know, league in the country. So it was truly a grind in January. We have February 1, 2024. We get a chance to do it one time today. And we try to win today. And I think it's really important in February, you know, the teams that have embraced the grind and not only that, they push through it like we're having to try to push through it right now and take it to another level. Then they start getting a little separation in February. February is separation month. You know, there are going to be some teams that kind of pack it in and already done by the end of the month and ready for the season to be over. Then there are going to be some teams that are still excited about competing and playing and, you know, working their way into March to where, you know, now it'll be time to finish in advance.
Terry Middleton, please.
Coach Terry, thank you for spending time with us. So I have a question on Zhaire. You know, you talked about instilling confidence in your players and so on. And I noticed that you've been playing him and you're talking to him and so on. Is he at that point where you're giving him permission to unleash on the boards and make that court his own, like kind of like what you did, Kendall? He came in and he dominates. Is it his turn, Zhaire's turn, to go do that on the boards?
Well, we really worked hard on instilling in Z how hard we want him to play, you know, and to your point, Terry, you know, if he played with his, I always gave an analogy early in the year, man. You got to play with you know, like your hair's on fire. He has all this hair right now. So if your hair's on fire right now, and you're having to try to put that hair, that fire out, that's how we want you to play, you know, and you know, he chuckled about that, but that's how we really wanted him to play. We wanted him to play like a Kenneth Faried, you know, where you're out there and you're just, you know, you're all over the place, man, and you play with incredible energy. You're sprinting the floor. You have a physical mindset. You know, we showed him a Kenneth Faried tape and made an edit for him of that guy and that type of player, you know. But you got to do it in practice every day so you have carryover in games. Kendall does that in practice every day, so it's an easy carryover for him in games, you know, and stuff. And you don't really have to jumpstart Kendall. Kendall is a self-starter in that regards and stuff. But, you know, I think that's the one area that we really challenged Z to be that type of guy. And we really, you know, envisioned him being a guy that came in and gave us what Christian Bishop gave us last year. You know, some physicality, some energy, and also some want to on both ends of the floor.
Jeff Jones, please.
Hey, good to see you today, RT. You talked about the importance of that winning time group, and we've heard you say that for years now. I'm wondering, is that winning time group that we're used to seeing over the past few games, is that solidified? And also, what is the most important characteristic of a winning time player?
You know what, Jeff? It's a great question. I think, you know, a lot of times in winning time, you know, some of it's dictated by matchups. You know what I mean? Who's on the floor for the opposing team? You know, whether or not we're in foul trouble as well. Last game we're in foul trouble with Dessou, and we had to rotate Caden in defensively to keep him in the game on the offensive end of the floor. You know, so there are all different types of circumstances that go into, you know, why guys on the floor, when they're on the floor. You know, at winning time, you need to get stops. You got to be able to put consecutive stops together, and then you have to be able to have guys on the floor that you trust that are going to be able to execute on offense as well. You know, and you know, that's why a lot of times you see Kendall Weaver on the floor, because he's going to be a guy that will execute on offense. And, you know, he's one of our guys that can make a winning play defensively for us as well as offensively for us as well during that time. Winning time, it doesn't have to be perfect. but it's got to be a time and a juncture of the game where, man, we got to really buckle down right now, and we've got to execute our offense. We call a play, or we call an action, or we're in a flow part of our offense. We got to really execute. We got to value taking care of the ball. We got to throw, we got to throw more strikes than balls, and we got to just really be on point defensively. We got to sit down, guard the ball. Can't let them get it to the teeth of the defense. Finish possessions with the physical block out. Run down a 50-50 ball. Those are all winning plays and winning basketball. Winning time could be 11 minutes in the game. Still 11 in the game. We will say, hey, it's winning time right now. Not the last 4 minutes, although sometimes it gets down to, hey, we know we're already in winning time. We've been in winning time since 12-minute mark. So, well, you got to really buckle down. You got to try to again, win every possession, try to get a shot up every time, and try to have a mindset to where you're going to try to get stops.
Corey Mose, please.
Nice to see you, Coach. I know at the beginning of the year, you talked about when D. Mitch came back, you're really focused on getting him on the boards and crashing the glass. And it seems like he's been responding so well to that challenge. And so I was curious, when it came to Tyrese coming back, what was that conversation like, and where did you want him to improve? And has he shown that throughout the season?
Yeah, Corey, I think, just naturally as guys get a chance to stay in college basketball and they're a year older, a lot of things change for those guys from a physical standpoint, from a maturity standpoint. And I think the biggest jump we wanted Tyrese to make this year was to be a guy who was a little bit more vocal on the floor. And I think he's really tried hard to do that in practice and in games. We asked him to come back and, want to be a guy that's on the all defensive team. And because it's something he's going to try to do the remainder of his career. He's got to be a guy that plays really hard defensively. And then, come back and just like all guards, have to continue to work on pick and roll reads and, making the right decisions with the basketball.
Eric Henry, please.
Yeah, Archie, just one quick follow from earlier. Just, your early thoughts on TCU and specificity, their guard play with Jameer Nelson, Anderson, and Trey Tennyson.
Jamie has a great ball club. I mean, they've had a great year to this point right now. One of the older teams in college basketball, one of the fastest teams, or maybe the fastest team in college basketball with their fast break points. When you say older, I mean, you have Emmanuel Miller, who's he's a big time player. I mean, he's one of those guys that puts a lot of pressure on you in transition, puts a lot of pressure on you in the half court, and he's improved his shooting. You got Michael Peavy comes back, and Mike is a guy who's improved, driving the basketball, shooting the basketball. He made 4 threes in the last game. So there's been a lot of growth in his team. You bring in a newcomer like Jameer Nelson Jr. He could go for 30 points on any given night, and we've had to deal with Avery Anderson for years now at Oklahoma State, a kid that can push the ball hard in transition, elite defender, So he's put together a really good roster with some carryover from guys that are still with him. So they've had really good continuity, and they've also picked up some really good guys. But good defensive team, really active with their hands, fast in transition, physical, good crashing, offensive rebounding team. Put together a really, really, really good ball club.
Follow up to Corey Mose.
Yeah, one quick question, RT. I know first day of Black History Month. Just what does it mean to you to be able to be a Black head coach for the University of Texas?
Well, I think, you reflect back on all the pioneers, and people that have really been trailblazers. For you have an opportunity to be where you are. You don't take that lightly in terms of, we had MLK Day, a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to our guys about the sacrifices that he made in the short life that he had on this earth, and it didn't just affect our country; it affected the world. His nonviolence movement was really, hadn't happened before, and stuff. So you talk about those type of leaders. You talk about Barack Obama's first, African-American president of the United States, and stuff. So just, you talk about people of leadership. You talk about my profession in terms of the John Thompsons. You talk about John Chaney. You talk about the Leonard Hamiltons who are still coaching right now, Tubby Smith. I was a big Tubby Smith guy. I looked up to when I was a high school coach and got into the coaching profession. He was a guy that I looked up to a lot and said, man, I want to be like Tubby Smith. I thought he was a classy guy. I thought he was a guy that always won at an elite level. And again, paved the way for opportunities for myself to be where I am right now and doing what I'm doing. So those are the people that you have a lot of respect for and you pay a lot of tribute to in terms of what we are right now and given the opportunities that we have.